Did.
I'm pretty good these days.
All right, that's good.
So, round 3, because we had technical problems again. Right, okay, so carry on, Neil, from the three Sirius, sorry, all the names for Sirius.
Yep, I'll just fly through these because it'll take hours just to explain them all. So I'll just fly through all these names just to give you an impression of how important Sirius is. Right. Danica, the seventh holy star, the universal father, divine son, prudence, Minerva, the brilliant star of sensitivity, Dharma, Savannah, Ishtar, Inanna, the scorcher, the evening star, the torch of Loki, the star of Shiva, the star of the east, Mother Mary, Diana, guardian of the gate, Al-Shirah, Satan, Lucifer, Sukkadin, Neph, Absinthe, Artemisia, Grand Wormwood, Nibiru, Phoenix, Planet X, Tishtira, the Green Fairy, Isis, Horus, Set, the Black Sun, the Sun behind the Sun, Ra, Argentium Astrium, Silver Star Sirius, Kenemet.
So pretty much every cult figure.
They're all Sirius. Every one of those names is for Sirius. Boom.
I mean, I'm not going to ask the stupid question, why is it so important to them? Because I think it's obvious, but it's obvious why it's important to them. Say again.
Sirius controls everything. Sirius controls the rising and the falling of enlightenment. It controls the environment on the planet. It controls our growth. But they worship Sirius. Sirius is their god. The light from Sirius is their god. So it is important to them because when the light, the energy, the force, ethereal energy, this is what they use to manipulate reality. This is their magic, what they use. Now, this is available to every single person on the planet, and you can use it for good. You can use it for dark. This is why it's white and black. It doesn't matter. It is energy that they use. And sometimes you use it for good, sometimes you use it for bad. Predominantly they use it for bad, but it's all used for manipulation. But it's available to everybody. Now, the way that we use it is, do you know much about the biological makeup of the pineal gland?
No.
Right, well, it's full of crystals. It's full of light-sensitive crystals. And it's a gland that's right in the middle of your brain. So why should a gland in the middle of your brain be full of light-sensitive crystals?
Yeah.
So with your eyes, what you see is ultraviolet light. That's it. That's what helps you. That's what makes you see. Now, ultraviolet light, let's say, is 5% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. So 95% of all the energy out there, you can't see. You have no idea what's going on. Now, the pineal gland works like a radar. So the pineal gland picks up the other 95% of the energies. That's why it's called your third eye.
Yeah.
So when you see people taking DMT trips, now DMT is like a drop of acid onto your pineal gland, which allows you to see all these energies that there are surrounding you.
I've done a mushroom ceremony, so I've been there. I've seen it.
This is the group Third Eye Blind. The third eye is blind because we are so far down our scale of enlightenment, because there is the energy is so weak at the moment because Sirius is so far away. This is why we're so small. This is why our pineal gland is dried out to a grain of rice. As the energy rises, we rise, we get bigger, we get brighter, our pineal gland starts working again. So what we see now is absolutely nothing. I mean, DMT is called the suicide drug because people are sort of taking DMT, seeing what is actually out there instead of us being blind and only seeing 5% of the ultraviolet light. People are coming back and going, you want to see what's out there, what we can't see.
Yeah.
And so they're coming back and committing suicide because it's like the reality of what they see now is absolutely nothing compared to what is there.
Have you seen the 13th floor?
No.
Like, that's it's about this simulation. It's about the Matrix. It's about what we see now not being real. You know, this reality is not real. It's all illusion.
Well, that is
a bit.
I'd go along with that because, like I was saying, we all studied round Earth. I then went and studied flat Earth, and then it's like a progression. And ever since I started studying this, the only thing that they ever said about what this place is that it's a fabricated reality. It's not real.
Yeah.
The oldest knowledge that's ever been written down said this place isn't real. That it's just a fiction. It's like a training center, which is the way I look at it. It's a training center for your soul.
Yeah.
It's a 3-dimensional training center for your soul, and that's all I see this place as being. Now, this work that I'm doing on Ireland and Sirius and Christianity, basically that's the rules of the game, is what we're studying. It's not reality. I mean, it's like picking up, if you play a 3D game, let's say you went to play World of Warcraft and you've got your 3D glasses on. What we're doing here is just studying the rules of the game.
Yeah,
it's not what reality is. I've strongly thought that I'm plugged in somewhere else. And I'd also say there's a time differential between these two realities.
Sure.
So I would say that if I was plugged into somewhere, like say in the Matrix, and I'm living this life. Now, right now I'm 58 years old. So I go and plug myself in wherever I am at 8 o'clock in the morning. I play this game for 4 hours till dinner time. But in the game here in reality, I've been playing it for 58 years. But where I'm plugged in, I'm just approaching dinner time. I've only been in there 4 hours.
What are your thoughts on parallel universes?
What?
If you've got any.
I've lots of thoughts. Well, you're talking about the multi-dimensional,
the multiverse,
the multi-universe, etc.
Yeah.
But if you imagine that this is a game, this is a construct.
Yeah.
How do you know there's not 100 other constructs?
Exactly. Yeah.
All running in parallel to each other, or slightly different that everyone's plugged into.
Yeah, totally on board with that. And so just going back to Sirius and the dumbing down, of course, we've been under the impression with the truth community that they're dumbing us down.
No,
it's
Sirius
nothing
is
to
dumbing
do
us
with
down.
them. It's a natural devolution so we can evolve again. Would you? Yeah.
It's not spiritual. It's not like a spiritual devolution. It's just a natural devolution. It's just the natural connection that Sirius and the sun has, the natural effect that Sirius has on the earth. Now, we don't know anything about this energy. That's what's kept secret from us. And they keep it secret because we're all equal. So we can tap into that energy. We can use that energy.
I'm all on board with that. I'm doing magic, or I'm learning to do magic, so I'm all on board with that. And
you can use the energy. If you learn how to use the energy, you can use it as well as any witch or druid or Freemason.
This is why I started looking into the occult and the symbolism, because I knew that they were tapping into something that they didn't want the masses knowing about. So I wanted to understand it a little bit more.
I'd probably say about 95% of everything that's in the public eye, is part of the circus trick. So You know a little bit about the Freemasons and Albert Pike and all the rest of it. Have you seen the compass and the square? You know all about the compass and the square?
Yeah.
Right, well, get your pen out and write down the crescent and broken V rod by the Picts. This is what I'm saying. Modern Freemasonry is just a plagiarization and just a concoction of various different things. So Albert Pike.
Excuse me.
Do you know?
Sorry,
you know
what
about
was it? Crescent and broken
V rod. Broken V rod.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like I was saying, this modern incarnation is just a circus act, and it's all just plagiarization of something else. So you know where the Picts used to live, sort of northeast Scotland area. Picts, Picts, Picts. Well, the crescent and broken V rod it comes from the Picts. Now the Picts, or where they lived, was all around Rosslyn Chapel. Rosslyn Chapel was basically right in the centre of where all the Picts live. So this crescent and broken V rod is where Albert Pike plagiarized the compass and the square from. You'll understand as soon as you bring up a picture of the crescent and broken V rod, you'll be able to understand the compass and the square. Because, like I say, they're all just plagiarizations of something else. I wouldn't get too involved with all the different symbolism, etc., because the vast majority of the symbolism that's given to you is taken from something else. It's not pure knowledge, if you will.
That actually looks like the moon. It looks like a crescent moon.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much it is where the compass and the square got plagiarized from. I think it was Albert Pike, 1880, was it? Somewhere around there that he created it. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I'm pretty sure it was created by Albert Pike in the mid-late 1800s. But again, you can just stick it on your notes and just add it for later.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, I would say you can. There's so much work that you can then take on. I mean, like I was saying, Sirius is called the seventh heavenly star. Well, everyone keeps asking why that G is in the middle of the compass and square. Well, if I put it through my theory, then G is the seventh letter of the alphabet, and Sirius is called the seventh heavenly star. So I would suggest that G represents Sirius. Considering now that we know that Lucifer is Sirius, the morning star is Sirius, the eastern star is Sirius, the light is Sirius, why wouldn't they have a G for the seventh heavenly star?
So again, another juvenile question maybe, because I always ask why? Why have they hidden this information from us?
Because you can use the knowledge. We can use the knowledge. We could turn them over tomorrow if we wanted. If we knew how to use the knowledge, we could take control of this realm, this planet, whatever. We could take control of it tomorrow if we all knew how.
It's still about them maintaining control.
Yeah, that's all it's ever been about. They want to control the knowledge. There's a video called "The Last Druid" by someone called, I can't remember his second name. It's called Ben. I can't remember his second name. And he claimed that he was the last druid alive, and he'd had 20 years education at some of the best universities throughout the country. As far as he was aware, all his mates and all his buddies had all died off, and he was the only one left. Now, he was describing that how they hide is to destroy their history. So nobody knows who they are. So they can hide in plain sight. So when he was describing about how these druids, how these ancient ones destroyed their history, so no one knew who they were, if you then relate it back to what Rome has done, and Rome burning the Library of Alexandria, basically they destroyed all the history. And that's what they've been doing for the last 2,000 years. But as I keep saying, that because they've destroyed so much of their history, that I would suggest that 99% of them don't even know what it is that they're doing now. So when you see, let's say, someone pulling 666 or someone pulling that, I mean, someone standing there saying 666, we now know that 666 is a mistranslation. It's not even the right number to use. If they were pulling six, if everyone was walking around going like that and everyone's going, 666, well, technically it should be what, that?
Yeah.
616. I mean, if they were doing that, I'd be impressed. I'd be really impressed. If they did that, I'd be impressed. But if they're sitting there going, 666, well, I know that you're telling a lie. I know that's the red herring. So it's not true. I know that the Eye of Providence, is another name for Sirius. I mean, you can often see, you can pull up a million YouTube videos of any one of your favorite stars all saying, I worship Satan.
Yeah.
And then you'll have 5,000 videos of everyone, he said he worships Satan and he sacrifices children and he drinks blood. Well, if you just simply change the word Satan to to Sirius, what he actually then said was, I worship Sirius. In the real life, outside the circus tent, what he said was, I worship Sirius. Inside the circus tent, he said, I worship Satan. And everyone's running around with like chickens with their heads cut off, going, he worships Satan, he worships Satan, because they don't know that Satan is just another name for Sirius. But if they welcome up to that, they'd just be laughing at him and just say, all right, well, you worship Sirius. Yeah, I know you worship Sirius. It's not difficult. So I said, basically what I'm trying to do and what my channel is going to try and do is to take each of these individual known subjects, Saturn, Sirius, 666, whatever, and turn out these videos where I go, right, well, that's what you know about Sirius, that's what you know about Satan, that's what you know about Saturn, that's the bit that you've been told. And like I say, I was studying all this for 20 years, so I know there isn't anything about Saturn that anyone can tell me that I don't already know, because I've studied the circus book. Then I've come along and added the extra bit that they managed to take off, and that adds a completely different perspective now to what you understand. So in the circus, 666 is an evil number. Satan is an evil deity. Lucifer is an evil deity. The Aryans is an evil deity.
Not in the circles that I move in. They're all deities that were all like,
Well, again, if I say the word swastika to you, what comes to your head?
Not the Nazis.
No, but that's
it does. But yeah, again, it's another
trigger.
thing. I'm starting to sweat now. I've got the fire too. Yeah, I mean, I went down the left-hand path for a while, and my understanding of Satan is the adversary. He creates catalysts in order for the soul to evolve.
I hate to break it to you. There is no Satan. Doesn't exist. No such thing. You might as well say Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. That's about the reality of Satan. He's a character, a fiction.
But he does exist because he's Sirius.
Yeah, it's Sirius, the star, the energy. If you could relate it back to Satan, the energy that comes from Sirius.
Yeah.
You could understand it that way. That way would be correct way of understanding it. But to say Satan is an evil red dude that he's going to, you have to sign a contract to him and shed some blood to him, and that's all bullshit. It's all crap.
No, I don't subscribe to that. But just going back to what my understanding of what I've learned when I've traveled down the left-hand path and Satan being the adversary for the soul to evolve, you could actually link that into Sirius, Satan, because the closer that Sirius gets, the soul evolves. So that there is some kind of connection there.
Yeah, there is connection between your soul, your enlightenment, and the energy coming from Sirius.
Yeah.
And that energy coming from Sirius can be used for good. It can be used for bad.
Like
but either way,
duality.
Yeah. Either way, it's just an energy that's coming from Sirius. So yes, this energy that can be used to manipulate reality can be called Satan, but the word Satan itself is just representing Sirius.
Of course, because names have had to be given to these energies so that we can understand them. Because
that's exactly why they use the term sun worship.
Yeah.
Because they use the term sun worship, and everyone just says, "Oh, they're worshiping the sun." Well, they're not, because the sun is just an emblem of this energy that they worship. So they call it sun worship, but it's not. It's like energy, sun energy, Sirius sun energy. It's just the energy. That's why it's called the light. So many times, the light, the light, the light. Every time you see the light now, it's just the energy that comes through the sun from Sirius. That's what it is.
From my understanding of the light, and from what I've read in one of my alchemy books, and I dip into these books. I'm not as well researched as you by any stretch of the imagination. I haven't got the brain space to read all the books I've got on the shelf there, so I dip in. But one of them, so the light, my understanding is the moon, not the sun, and the moon is where souls are harboured or kept to decide if we come back here. And I'm going off, and so that's been my understanding of the light, not to do with the sun. And of course, we know the sun gives us light, but equally the moon gives us light at night. So what's your...
Personally, I don't. I know the theory that you're talking about. Personally, I don't buy into that personally. I'm still with. I'm 99% sure the word "the light" is this energy that's coming through the sun. That's every time I've seen them use the word "the light," it's always in reference to this energy that is being used.
So when we head into the pearly gates and it said go to the light, is that in reference to go to the sun? I mean, again, we could go... I'm going to actually and I'm going to ask you to come on to talk about Saturn in another video if you're happy to do that
after Saturn Day.
After Saturn Day, because my understanding of Saturn is the planet's a Jacob's ladder, and for us to ascend, to get out of this realm, this matrix, we have to go again. I'm going into Gnostic realm here, because I know this is a theory of the Gnostics. We come through the planets of the archons. I think that's when we pick up all the ego as we come through the various planets, and then invert that when we want to get out of here. Saturn is that planet, because Saturn is depicted as lead, and we can look at Superman. He couldn't see through lead. So Saturn is the final planet that we have to try and get through before we can exit this realm.
Well, when are you putting this video? When are you putting this out?
When? I've already done a video on this.
All right. You'll have to watch. I'm going to say I'll wait till Saturday. You'll have to watch the Saturday video, or I'll come back and talk about it, because there's things that you're saying now which I can add to.
Okay.
But I haven't made my video yet, so I don't want to chuck all the cherries out in this one and then go and make another video where I'm talking about exactly the same stuff. I'll do it afterwards.
No, absolutely. I just wanted to kind of like put that into your head, just so we can talk about that further. And obviously, I'll watch your Saturn video.
Again, personally, I haven't gone too much into sort of the realms that you're talking about, where the different planets have an effect on you, etc., the different constellations. I haven't gone down that road yet. At the moment, all I've come across is this rising and lowering of the energies, the appearance of the ego, the materialism, the self, That has only come along later in the last 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 years. Well, as it's been falling, like I said, the Egyptian priest class basically changed and bastardized the pure knowledge for greed and materialism so they could use it themselves. That's only come about in the last few thousand years since we've had this falling of man, since Sirius has been moving away from us. Before that, if you imagine that everyone was telekinetic, we could all read each other's minds, you couldn't have greed, you couldn't have lies, you couldn't have self, because everyone would have known about it. Everything would have been pure. There's a channel called Uncharted X, and he's studying some 15,000-year-old vases and plates, and he's doing like some really fine, intricate work on doing the CADs so they can measure them and finding out how good they are. Now, one of these vases that they found is 15,000 years old, and the centers between the two handles are 0.003 of an inch off perfect. 0.003 of an inch off perfect on this 15,000-year-old vase. Now, it's a vase. It's meant for flowers. Why would you make a vase more accurate than a Formula One engine today if you, with a copper chisel and a donkey, by the way?
Well, no.
Well, to 0.003 of an inch. So it was his statement that really caught my eye, because his statement on that was the only option they had was perfection. The only option, they couldn't do anything but make something perfect. If you're going to make a vase that is absolutely perfect, the only option they had was perfect. So from that point onwards, all we've been doing is getting lower and lower and lower. We are right this second as low and as stupid and as thick as we've ever been since 24,000 years ago. We're at this point 24,000 years ago because it's cyclical. It's not this.
It's so interesting because I've obviously not with the work that you've done, but with the astrological work, and I put that in inverted commas because, like I said, I've not gone really, really deep into any of these subjects. But I've postulated, and I've actually got that word from Callie. I love that word, postulate. I've postulated that the ages that we've gone through with the astrology, we've lived it all before.
Yeah.
So we're coming to like the Stone Age, if you like. We're preparing to go back into the Stone Age to then go back to where we started, which in my from what I've looked is Lemuria. Now, my little bit of understanding of Lemuria is that we were able, the women that were magicians, the men were the protectors and the providers, but we were able to manifest and create buildings from our minds. We could build from our minds. That's how powerful we were.
Yeah, we use the energy. We use the dark. We use the light. We use the ethereal energies. That's when we had a pineal gland light about that big instead of that big. When we could use these energies, when we were 10 foot tall and like really strong and really intelligent. Yeah, that's the period you're talking about.
Yeah. Have you heard of sigil magic?
Sigil magic, yes.
Yeah. So sigil magic. So that was part of this magic course that I'm doing. That was part of the first month. And I was reading this book, and I looked at this sigil, and I was like, that looks like an Egyptian glyph. Now, the idea of sigil magic is to use imagery to put it into the unconscious. So it gets manifested because things don't get manifest from the conscious mind. They only get manifest from the unconscious.
No, so from the super.
You what, sorry?
Well, have you studied much from Michael Tsarian?
No.
Again, along similar lines, my understanding of it, where you just said like creation.
Yeah.
You've got the right brain, which is ego, which is materialism, which is the self. That's your conscience. Your subconscious is your left brain. That's your imagination, your creativity. This is where you have your best ideas when you're not even thinking about it. Someone just pop into your head.
I thought it was
whatever. Right brain, left brain doesn't really matter. You've got your conscience, which is your ego, your materialism, yourself in the now. You've got your subconscious, which is creativity, imagination, things like that. That's your subconscious. But then you've got your superconscious, which is through your pineal gland. That connects you to the ethereal energy. That's your all-knowing. This is when we could all just like your Akashic book of records, where you've got this energy, this all-knowing, and all you have to do is think about it, and you've got the answer comes to you. This is your superconscious. This is what I was saying before, where we had this global consciousness when the energies were at the highest, when we were all psychic, when we could use our pineal gland. This is when we had this what's called a superconscious. So that your superconscious is what you were just saying before about your creativity. That's how your creativity actually comes to the fore. But we've fallen that far, and we can't use our pineal gland anymore, or just chuck a bit of DMT battery acid at it, and we just get a quick glimpse of what's around. We can't create anything anymore. But because we don't know about this stuff, and it's all been hidden for us, and we're more interested in whoever wins the next election or what Starmer's doing right now, or because we're kept diverted within the circus realm, we don't know how to come out of the circus. We don't even know that there's anything outside the circus. This is the way I feel, like from my work, I'm doing all this work, digging up all these things. And you can just chuck one or two things onto someone's research and just say, well, did you know this or did you know that? Just to chuck one or two things. And it completely changes how you envisage something. So I'll just give you a quick one on Sirius when you were talking about symbolism. Do you know, have you seen the symbol for the Jesuits?
No.
Where it's a black sun over a white sun and IHS through the middle of it.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know that was the but yes,
the Jesuits. But yeah, you know that. You know the symbol.
Yeah.
Right. What I was just saying before, our sun, Sol, is the white sun. That's the white sun. Sirius is the black sun. The sun behind the sun, it's called. So Sirius is the black sun.
Yeah.
Sol is the white sun. So if you go and look at the Jesuit symbol and look at that white sun and the black sun, I've just on my list that I've just read out, Isis, Horus, and Set are just three names for Sirius.
Yeah.
IHS.
Yeah, I picked that up.
If you then go and look back at that symbol again now, it's all about the sun and Sirius. It's all about the sun and Sirius in that symbol.
Yeah.
So this was I can come up with loads of them. When I said before about the swastika is Sirius.
It's the black sun.
It's the black sun, which is Sirius. Now that's called the swastika, and that goes anti-clockwise. If you go and look up something called the Manji, I think it's Manji, I think it's called. That is a swastika going clockwise, but it's white. So you've got the black anti-clockwise sun, the black sun, which is Sirius. You've got the Manji, which is reversed of that, which is white, which goes clockwise. That represents Sol, the sun. Now for the interesting bit, if that wasn't interesting enough, if we take the swastika and we overlay the Manji on top of it, so we've got the black sun going anti-clockwise, we've got the white sun going clockwise. If we overlay these two, this white and this black swastika over the top of each other, we get the checkerboard.
Makes sense.
Everywhere you look, everywhere you see this black and white, what it's talking about is the sun and Sirius and the sun behind the sun.
Yeah.
Like I say, I've done with Carly, I've just done a 3.5 hour video like this of just breaking stuff down about Sirius. And if you really, really want to understand the circus act and the pantomime compared to the reality, this is a perfect example because have you heard of Stephen Greer, the NASA blog?
Yes, yeah.
The NASA bloke, and he's into Anunnaki, all the rest of it. Stephen Green.
Yeah.
Right. Well, he made a video called Sirius, all about Sirius. It's had 5 million views.
Yeah.
Every word that he comes out is the pantomime version. Every single word. It's 4 hours of just pantomime Sirius. So if you then go and look at the video I did on Sirius, I did 4 hours on Sirius, and not a single word that he said on Sirius I repeated. Everything was completely different. But all my work was done outside the pantomime. So you will never hear anywhere. In fact, like I say, in over 20 years, all the work that I've been putting, all this work on Sirius is my work. All the work on Atlantis and Ireland and Britain and Christianity, that's all other people's work that I've put together. So I've been studying all their work, but all this work on Sirius, this is all mine. So all these names, it's like thousands of hours of studying about Sirius and learning about Sirius. I mean, I was so thankful for the lockdown. That gave me so much time to be able to research. Yeah. I actually enjoyed the lockdown.
Yeah, so did I, for various reasons, and obviously other reasons.
That blew my own head up during lockdown. Yeah. I was just learning that much stuff because it's once I describe it as a cipher. It started off, I called it the Irish cipher, but now I've started going into Sirius. It has to be called the Sirius and the Irish cipher, because most of the problems, most of the questions, most of the queries that you have, I would say 90% of the answers are either found in Ireland or Sirius. Straight up. I'd say I'd have to talk for about 6 hours to put some meat onto that bone, if you will. But predominantly the answer is either Ireland or Sirius. And again, I've just put a list of shitloads of words together that are compounds of other words. So a beautiful one. I'll give you two. Atlantis. Atlantis is a compound of 3 Irish words. Atlantis. And that translates to great land of knowledge. So Atlantis is a compound of 3 Irish words. I'll give you another compound. Jerusalem. We've heard of Jerusalem. Now in our theory, Jerusalem is Edinburgh. So if you took the word Jerusalem and chop that up, J-Ru-Say-Lem. Now I already knew that say is the. So you look up Lem. I knew Say-Lem is light, the light. So Salem witch trials. Say-Lem is 2 Irish words, meaning the light. So once you spot Salem in Jerusalem, what you then translate to is J and Ru. J means I, Ru means see. So Jerusalem literally translates to I see the light in Irish.
So where my brain's going now, well, my brain's going, because of course I've got my own conceived ideas of things, like
absolutely. I'm not here to dictate anything.
No, absolutely not. No, I'm not. No, what I say with that is I'm trying to tie in what I've learned, because I've looked a little bit at the Kabbalah and the emanations and what that represents, and then the Qliphoth, which is the dark side of the Kabbalah, which is what we are, which is matter. You've got so basically the idea of the Qliphoth is for us to go through the Qliphoth and work the darker energies of this realm to be able to see the holographic, the real world that we've just been talking about. So I'm just trying to tie all that knowledge into what you're talking about there, and it kind of does tie in.
Well, blow your head. Well, you're going to have to watch this Saturn video, because like you just said with the Kabbalah, the thing is, the Kabbalah comes from the Jews.
Yeah.
The Jews come from Britain.
Yeah.
The tribes of Israel come from Britain. So all your translations and understandings need to come from Britain. You won't learn anything studying Jews and Israel out in the Middle East. All you'll study is the circus trick. You won't find any facts. So even if I just took the word Kabbalah, Ka is the carrier of the soul, the Ba is the soul, and La, I'll explain it in the video, but the La is mind, body, soul. So
Yeah.
sorry, La is mind.
Yeah.
So Ka is the carrier of the soul. That's why cars get called car. It's actually spelled K-A, but you just look at Ka. It's the carrier of the soul, which is why a car is called a car. It's the carrier of the soul, you.
Yeah.
Ba is the soul,
Yeah.
and La is the mind. So the basic breakdown of the word Kabbalah is Ka, Ba, La, and it means mind, body, and soul.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I then take that on to many more levels.
Yeah. No, because I've been
Saturday.
very drawn to the Kabbalah, and more recently the Qliphoth. Since I've been going down the left-hand path, I learned about the Qliphoth. And anyway, but where my mind was going when you were talking about all these words that have been broken down, and it seems so massive for even the controllers of this world. So basically, what you're saying is that there are still these Iranians existing with super intelligence in these times, because to break all that down, like the words, the inversions that we've been dealt, the false history, that seems an awfully big task for normal humans.
They've had 2,000 years at it.
2,000 years is still,
And they've got the keys to all the knowledge, so they know all the knowledge, and they've had 2,000 years to play with it.
still seems. See, I'm a believer of off-worldly intelligences.
Yeah, well, I say that's the difference, because I'm off a building site, so I only work with on Earth. I don't do anything. Yeah. No offense. The sort of work that you're doing there, I describe as the candles and crystals crew, from my perspective of my work. See, I don't go into the spiritualism. I don't go into the planetary effects on what your body is. I'll go on to just facts on the ground, breakdown of words on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't go into outside because I've no experience of it. I don't know anything about it. I can only relate it back to stuff that I know that's on the ground.
Which is fair enough. I've experienced spiritual things. That's why, so I put a lot of emphasis on, and of course I've done my mush. So I've seen the Matrix. I've been in the Matrix.
Yeah, I've not.
And a beautiful, amazing experience it was for me. Not everybody has that experience. Do you know what I mean?
I had one experience of mushrooms in Amsterdam. It was horrific. It was absolutely horrific. It was the most horrible experience of my entire life. I would never have another mushroom just off that one trip.
Well, I've heard of really horrific experiences, and I went to Amsterdam once with a friend. She said, "Do you want to do some mushrooms?" I went, "Fuck that!" I said, "I'll be the one jumping off a roof because there's a big giant spider coming chasing me." But this was It was a proper controlled. I was blindfolded. I had pan music headphones on. There was a facilitator there. It was a proper control. It wasn't just getting off, getting high. It was a proper ceremony. I went deep. I was under for 4 hours, and it was amazing. But even I go back to, not everybody has that, because if you've got a lot of traumas and a lot of dark energy, you will have bad experience. Not saying that's why you had bad experiences, but if you do it in this
experiences, I had a lot of bad experiences.
But yeah, this is why I do have, I do want to communicate with. Anyway, we're going into different subject matter here, which we don't need to. I've loved this conversation. Apart from the glitches that we've experienced,
well, you're going to have to come up with some imaginative editing, that's all.
Well, I've been editing. Yeah, I'm getting quite nifty at the editing, but 3 hours of edit, going through a video for 3 hours, that's going to be laborious. Let me tell
Good
you.
luck.
Let me tell
Good
you.
luck. That's why I don't do
Yeah.
this. I'll be on a
Well,
building
no,
site tomorrow. When you're editing this, I'll be on a building site. I don't care. I hate this stuff. But it
no.
got to a point.
Go
Well,
on.
again, like I said, I mean, I could have put out a 200 proofs in Earth, not a spinning ball in 2012.
Yeah.
No problem. But I say, I've never really wanted to get into this. This is your world. This isn't
Yeah.
anything that I've been interested in. And it was only really when Carly went on Joe's Library of the Untold, because Carly just lives just down the road. So
Oh,
I
does
reckon well, she used to. She lives in Wales now, but she comes from Bolton, which is
she
10
does.
miles.
I'm from Bolton. I lived in
Oh,
Bolton for 10 years. Off the
yeah, well,
A666.
yeah, well, I'm in Chorley. So I recognised her attitude. I recognised her accent
Yeah.
straight away as soon as she started talking. So I just sent her a message. I said, "Which part of Wigan are you from?" So she's like, "What are you talking about? Who are you?" Oh, yeah. So no, I'm from Chorley. I just recognise your accent. That's all. So we got talking, and then she started asking me about my work. And I don't think she was expecting the answer that she was going to get, because it was like hour off, 2 or 3 hours just talking about my own work. So
Yeah.
then her that just said, like, "Can you come on the channel and just start talking about your work on the channel?" Which I did do. So basically what I've got is sort of 25, 26, 27 years of doing all this research, mountains of papers and notes everywhere. I had no intentions of ever publishing any of this. I did all this just for myself, for my own entertainment. But it got to a point where, when you know that 666 isn't a real number, when everyone's worshipping an evil red dude called Satan, and you know that they're all wrong,
Yeah.
and a million other, well, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And I'm just sat here watching people's videos and just going, "You're messing it all up. You're all getting it wrong." And it was only then that you start thinking, should I start putting this stuff out? Will people listen to it? Is anyone interested in it? Because I didn't care if anyone was interested in it when I was learning it all. Because you just learn it for yourself. I don't care if anybody else thought it was interesting that Satan was Sirius, or all this story about the Tuatha De Danann and the tribes of Dan, etc. And it's only like recently that more and more people are starting to get interested in it. The problem with it is it bucks the system. So when you mentioned before about Jason and Archaics, what's he up to now? About 150,000 subscribers or something?
Maybe, yeah.
So that sort of ballpark. He's making shitloads of cash out of it.
Yeah.
But the only stuff that he ever produces is from within the realms of the circus.
Yeah.
Because he only ever uses Roman Christianity, and which I said, Roman Christianity is a plagiarization of something else anyway, and it's a complete fabrication. So he's basically come up with the theory of Alice in Wonderland. He studied a book, a fiction, and come up with a theory based on that. So
see, I have a theory based on the fact that everybody's got different theories about this reality. It's because we've all been down different parallel universes and different parallel histories, and and that's why we've all got different versions. I mean, and Jason has not gone up against, but he's debunked some of Graham Hancock's work, and and Sitchin's work, and
yeah, but they're all on the same side because they're all studying works from within the realms of the circus. As long as you stay within the rules of the story, you can make as many videos as you want. You can make as many connections and conspiracies as you want. You can do anything you want as long as you stay within the realms. As soon as you step out of the realms, then you goosed. I mean, Robert the Bruce. Everyone's heard of Robert the Bruce?
I haven't.
Robert the Bruce.
No.
The Scottish.
No.
Ooh. Robert the Bruce, probably one of the most famous Scottish people that have ever lived.
Honestly, prior to 2020, I didn't watch the news. I didn't know what was going on in the world.
No, he lived in 1300. He lived 700 years ago.
I never studied history. I I've never had an interest in any of this. I've never had an interest in history. I've just been in my own little world, my own little bubble, and I've been quite happy. Thank you very much. So no, I've never heard of Robert the Bruce.
Right, well, Robert the Bruce and 20 Earls of Scotland wrote a letter to the Pope. I think it was around about 1300, 750 years ago, somewhere around there. And then basically it was a big FU to the Pope. And it says, it's called the Declaration of Arbroath. If you go and read that, and basically it's a big FU to the Pope. And it says that we know that you're stealing Christianity. We know the tribes of Israel come from Britain. We know what you're doing. And until the last man of Scotland dies, we will always remember that we're the Israelites. We're the tribes of Britain. Britain is the Holy Land and you're stealing it. And that's basically what this Declaration of Arbroath says. So he wrote that 700 years ago. That fell on stony ground. No one took him up on that. That's
well,
still
here's
secret.
a question. Here's a question for you, Neil. How come that information, if they're trying to hide everything from us, you found information that shouldn't be being found? So they're not really trying to hide everything from us.
They can't hide it from each other. They have to put it out.
I know, but if it's they control the internet. They control, they control what books are, books are rewritten over the years, and little bits taken in and taken out, and history's changed. We're actually seeing it now. They're changing history before our very eyes. So my question always is, and this is one of the things I said about when I started going down the occult. It's not it's hidden knowledge, but it's there for people to find if they look deep enough. So they're not trying to hide everything from us. It's not this nefarious, we're keeping these secrets. It is there for people to know about and to find. And one could say that that's in line with the Sirius energy of the evolution of consciousness and enlightenment.
Yeah, I don't think they're all evil. I think there are some good ones on our side.
Yeah,
I think there are some really bad ones, and all they ever care about is themselves, and they want to manipulate everything themselves, and they want to rule the world, etc., etc. Yeah. I think there are also good people that are on our side that want to keep the knowledge out there, that don't want to have it hidden, but I think they're in the minority now. So I think they keep themselves hidden. Because if they made themselves public, because they're in such small numbers, but I think they are very powerful of the people that there are. So like I said, I would say now, not the Tuatha De Danann, but the tribe of Dan now are the controllers. These are these evil controllers. But then on the, let's call them white hats and black hats or whatever. So I'd say that your black hats are your tribe of Dan today, and I'd say your white hats are your tribe of Judah, who is still in control of Britain.
See, again, from the work that I've done, you've got to have the good and the bad in order for equilibrium. Exactly. You
can't have one without the other, and they have to balance each other.
Exactly. So when you look into the truth community, everything's nefarious, everything's evil. And we wouldn't be able to survive in that world because it just completely tipped the balance. So that's why I brought that up then about the information that and what is the fact that you've been able to find that information, and there's researchers before you that have published that kind of information. It's there to be found.
It is there. It is very. But again, this is what I was alluding to just before, where. Yes, the information is there. It is difficult to find.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm going to make videos of where to find it. Go and look at this research, go and watch this video. If you're interested in this, go and watch that video, because it's that the subject itself is that vast that I think I first started hearing about Ireland 10, 15 years ago, but you never know where to get your foot in the door. You don't know how to enter into this subject. And like I said, it was only 5, 6, 7 years ago when I found out about the R1B gene, and that led me on to reading the Irish wisdom preserved in the Bible and pyramids. There's an absolutely fascinating researcher called Commons Beaumont. And the work, if you want to study Britain and Christianity and what happened there, Commons Beaumont, start there and then work out from there. So yeah, there's loads and loads of people that have been doing this research and trying to put the information out. But to give you a comparison, where I said archaics, where Jason only uses the circus script, so when he stays within that circus script, he's got 150,000 followers.
Yeah.
I put a video out 2 weeks ago breaking down 666 and Satan and all the rest of it. It's got 200 views and my channel has 200 subscribers.
You're doing better than me, Neil, because I can't get past the 50 on some of my videos, so you're doing better than me.
Well, again, this is where I struggle because, like I say, Jason came from nowhere. Next thing you know, he's putting out a theory and he's got 150,000 subscribers, and you go, how the hell did he do that?
Because the information he was putting out at the time was new information. And I have this theory that we're all led down certain paths. We're all like on this wave. And there are various waves, but we all kind of like, we all follow a pattern. And again, I believe it to be like the energetic forces around us, because if you talk about the collective unconscious, we're all drawing from this big unconscious cloud, if you like. But there are different roads to go down within that cloud. So Jason blew up because there were a number of people that were ready for that information. And now you've come to the surface. You might very well blow up because people will now be ready for that. And it will be a smaller amount of people than what Jason's got. This is the way I'm not sure. I'm not very good at verbalizing what's in my head.
I try and picture it in my head as going to school. So, like I say, you've got the basic level of primary school where you just get the facts of life, and then you start doing some researching and finding out some stuff that is different than what you were taught it was. So that's like your secondary school. This is going on to the next level because you've had your basic education. Yeah. If I say the word Anunnaki, I'm sure you'll be able to tell me all about the Anunnaki at that level.
Yeah.
But nobody will then. But no one will then, right, this is university level. The Anunnaki are called the sons of Anu. They were the Tuatha De Danann from Ireland. And Anu was their god, and Naki is serpent. It's all related. The Anunnaki is all related back to Ireland. And Nibiru is Sirius. Having this keeps coming back. Yeah. So Planet X.
That is the infinity.
Yeah.
It's very close to the infinity. Symbol.
Well, that's why it's the infinity. That's why it's the Aurora Boreas. That's why it's the Vesica Pisces, because that's the shape of the orbits that the Sun and Sirius have. So, like I said, I know Jason's theory is all based all around the Phoenix, but Jason will never tell you that the Phoenix is Sirius.
But he might not know that. Might be why he never tells us, because he probably doesn't know. You know, I just think that I mean, he talks about reality tunnels, and I do agree with me. I do agree with him on that. I believe that if we've all got different soul families, I think that Callie's found you, and of course I've then found you because of Callie, and it's all part of the same. So this is my theory, all part of the same soul family, and we all kind of like, we gravitate towards people who have got the same energetic resonance. It might take us a while to get there, and that's why. So you've got your people who watch the BBC, they're on the same energetic resonance. Then you've got the truth community, they're on the same energetic resonance, and then people either stay or they'll evolve. People within the truth community evolve from the truth community going to Jason, and then people in that, if they evolve, they'll come to your work. It's all an evolving scale. That's the way I see it.
Kind of. I mean, yes, I've done quite a lot of studying on Dolores Cannon. I'm presuming
Yeah.
you've come across
I've
her
not
work.
done I've come across her work. I've not done lots a bit new age for me.
Again, when she goes into a lot of soul families, she explains the whole soul
Yeah.
family thing, and we're all here to do a purpose, and we all come from
Yeah.
different families, and do we recognize it? This is how we recognize each other and get on with. So the soul family was a lot of Dolores Cannon work, and yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I'd slightly disagree with the researcher truther community, because I personally see that 99% of truthers, researchers, just want entertaining. Simple as that.
Because they're not ready to hear it yet. They're not ready to hear it. It's like the old saying, isn't it? The teacher will come when the ears are open. Something like that. Something like that. They're not ready to hear it.
Yeah, you can. It's the leading a horse to water. You can show it all the water all day. You can't make it drink.
But it doesn't mean to say that they won't. It doesn't mean to say that they won't get there. Is what I'm saying. So your channel might blow up. I mean, look at Joey from Untold.
Yeah, he's just broken the 100,000, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, his work, he's great work, and I love listening to him, and I'm forever putting notes up on the presentations that he does, and I'm so itching. I've got to talk to him sometime in the next couple of weeks. I told him that I'm doing this because he did a Saturn video that's got, is it something like 1.5 million views?
Something like that.
Yeah. So I said, I'm going to make you a present, because what I'm going to do is take Saturn and put the Irish cipher onto Saturn, and then make a video for you, because I'm pretty sure that he wants to make a Saturn 2 video, because he keeps talking about the ring makers of Saturn and stuff like that. So I said, let me make this video with Carly on Saturday, give it to you, then we're going to have, I'm not sure if I'm going to go onto his channel, but I know we're going to have a chat about all this at some point. Because,
hey, listen, go onto his channel, because it may do a lot for you.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. Is because he's. I'm not saying he's plateaued. I think he's not running out of ideas, but this brings a whole new complexion to where he can look for his answers. And basically, he's one of them. He knows there's something out there. He knows he hasn't got the full story.
Yeah.
Because in the last 12, 18 months, I've been peppering him with extra bits of information. Every time he does a video, I'm peppering that video with little bits of extra bits.
Yeah.
So Carly's made him aware, and he's fully aware that he needs to learn about Ireland and Atlantis and Britain and Christianity, this extra little bit. Once he understands that, then he'll be able to take his work further. So I'm actually making this video on Saturday as a dedication to Joey, as a present for his 100,000 subs thing. But hopefully I'm going to throw that many bits in there extra that he doesn't know, that before he makes this Saturn 2 video of his, that he might be able to use some scraps that he didn't know before that I've been able to chuck his way, and then we'll be able to have a chat about it on his channel. I think that's the basic idea of what's going to happen.
So I have to ask the question, because I like to play devil's advocate, just because I love the devil so much. I love Saturn, Satan and Saturn. Anyway, I have to ask the question: how do you know categorically that your work is the right work?
How do I know?
Yeah, Jason believes obviously his work is the right work. So, yeah, I can't put it any plainer than that. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying you're right. Yeah.
Well, I said to me when I started going down this road, when I stumbled across the Irish cipher, again, with a lot of my work, I'll start off with a mad idea or a mad connection or something, and then let it build on that. So when I first stumbled across this Irish cipher, firstly, every time you find a new piece of information, you cross-check it, double-check it, all the rest of it. And I said, I'm going to stay, like everything, I'll stay with it till I can prove it wrong. Same with I did with Flat Earth. I stayed with Flat Earth 7, 8 years And eventually I could prove it wrong. So I
Yeah.
dropped it. So far, every single thing that I've thrown at this cipher has worked. Everything works. Whether I'm breaking words down, whether I'm understanding people and movements. And it got to the point where when I was breaking words down, I was using every single language that I could possibly think of going through these translators, and every single time it came back as being Irish. You get to the point where you stop trying every other language and you just try Irish. And I think the final nail in the coffin was, the Voynich manuscript. Unbreakable code, this book of pictures and words, and it's unbreakable, and no one's ever been able to break it, blah, blah, blah. Right, well, I was studying what's called the Belle Laguerre, which is the Freemasons' secret language. Now, the only people to use the Belle Laguerre are the Freemasons and the Irish Tinkers. So it was written by a chap called Gobansoir. Now, Gobansoir is the Freemason of the Tuatha De Danann. So again, we're going back to Ireland. So Gobansoir wrote the Belle Laguerre, which was like right up my street. I'm into Ireland, into all these. He's connected to the Tuatha De Danann. Then when I actually saw the Belle Laguerre written, the first thing that popped into my head was that looks like the Voynich manuscript. Very similar kind of writing style. So then obviously the next question is, does the Voynich manuscript come from Ireland? So what I did is I downloaded a page of the Voynich manuscript and I went through each word to see if I could recognize a word. Any word. I didn't care how it was spelt. I just wanted it to be a word that I could put into Google Translate. So I wrote down 7 words that I found that I could recognize, see that's a word, that's how it's spelt. Now, the words, when they were written down on a piece of paper, literally meant nothing. Absolutely nothing. Until I started, well, it was the very first one. You go onto a Google Translate, I put the very first word in, which was, to me, it was just a series of letters. Hit translate, and it comes back as an English word in Irish Gaelic. I put the second one in, English word, Irish Gaelic, English word, Irish Gaelic, English word, Welsh Gaelic. So every single word from the Voynich manuscript that I put into translate came back as being Gaelic and an understandable word that could have married into what the Voynich manuscript is. So like I said, every single idea I ever get, everything that I put at this works every single time. So until it stops working.
That's interesting to me, the fact that you can put it into Google Translate, a system that they control and own. This is what I say about
yeah, but once again, this is one that I need to go and look down because they were watching one. It was just very briefly, but one of those that you go, that catches my eye. What is the internet?
Well,
where is it?
I personally believe that the internet is just an extension of our unconscious, of our consciousness. I believe AI.
In fact, what is it? Where is it? Where is it stored? Where does all this information come from? What is it? AI?
It's the Akashic record. It's all coming from the same thing.
Where's it coming from?
Exactly.
It's not coming out of my computer and it's not coming down my telephone. So where's it all coming from? Where is all this knowledge based? Which was a really interesting question, because then you go, well, who controls it? It can't be, because if it was only bad people that controlled the internet, I would only ever be able to find the Circa script. I won't be able to find Michael Tsarian would never be there, William Blake would never be there, Robert the Bruce would never be there. All those would be buried. So the knowledge is there to be found. The only problem is you've got to dig that deep and be that dedicated to even prepared to be wrong. All this time, all this effort that I put in, thousands and thousands, years and years of studying, I'm prepared to write it all off as being wrong as soon as I prove it to be wrong.
Yeah.
But every time I put anything in, it always proves itself to be right.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's got to the point where If I said the word say, S-A, translates to the, right? Let me grab a piece of paper. So if I said the word say is the, right, so I've already said that say lem is the light, right?
Salem, yeah.
Say,
Salem.
let's say
Yeah.
lem means the light. So say is the, lem is light. So Salem means the light.
Yeah.
So we can take that further. Sauron. You've heard of Sauron from Lord of the Rings?
Never seen it.
Evil eye dude. Well, as soon as I see the letters SA in most words, I'm taking off the SA and seeing the other word, Euron. Well, if I just simply took the word Euron and translated that, that translates to groom or stable keeper. Now, apparently, Sauron had a stable full of horses. So, Sarmain, you'll know that one, won't you? Sarwain,
Yeah.
like today.
Yeah.
Well, again, I saw that one. You take the SA off, the. If you then take main or Mohain and translate that, that actually translates to Wayne. So, you've got like wax and wane on and off.
Yeah.
Well, Salmain translates to the wane, which means wax off. It's the dark half of the year. It's the weakening of the sun. So that's all Salmain translates to, because as soon as you see the SA meaning the, and then go and translate the rest of the word, it translates to wane. So Salmain literally translates to the wane, the dark half of the year, the end of the year. That's all it translates to. That's what it is. There's nothing pagan or scary or witchcraft about the word Sarwain. It just means the wane, the end of the year, the dark half of the year. That's it. There's one or two I don't want to touch in because I haven't made them into videos yet. There's a game called Saurian Dragon. So again, we drop the SA, Saurian, and we translate the word Urian. Well, the word Urian actually means golden. So then the word Saurian Dragon literally translates to the golden dragon. Yeah. And so they say this is how, I mean, like I say, I've come up with this. I'm going to make a video. I've got 35 words there. Just come bang, 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 35 words. Just of these translated words. Every time you translate them, it always comes back as being something that is related to the original word. But because we don't know about these compounds of words, Hercules. That's 3 Irish words, and it literally translates to man of great strength. So again, it works, but it works every time. So how do I know? I don't know. All I know is either I've got to, what did I say? A few years ago, I said, once you get to 5,000 coincidences, when does it stop being a coincidence?
Well, Carl Jung will say there's no such thing as a coincidence. So,
Well, now I'm up to 10,000 coincidences. So if 10,000 coincidences would all have to be wrong for it not to be Ireland, for it not to be serious, or everything. It could be that, or it could be that.
I'm interested in you diving into Lemuria when you're ready, because
I've not done on Lemuria.
You are?
I've not done anything on Lemuria.
No, that's what I'm saying. If you do decide to dive into it, I would be, because of course that predates Atlantis, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I've
always had sort of Lemuria being 50, 100,000 years old, that sort of time period.
Yeah.
Like tens and tens of thousands of years old before.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go down Lemuria, then you've got to bring into the continental drift of all the land masses.
Yeah.
There's arguments for and arguments against that, whether that did happen or whether that didn't happen. I only go back as far as, like I say, I only go back 15,000 years because that was before the sea levels rose up by 150 meters. So if you go and look on Google Earth, off the west coast of Ireland, there's a buried island under the sea. You can see it. It's blatant. As soon as you see it, you'll see it. Now, have you heard of High Brazil?
I think I've seen that on Google Earth.
Have you heard of High Brazil?
No.
Tir na Nog, land of the eternal youth. There's an island that's supposed to come out of the sea once every 7 years. In the circus paradigm, it's called High Brazil. In the Irish cipher, it's called Tir na Nog, and it was called Land of the Eternal Youth, and no one ever got young. No one got old. Time just stopped on Tir na Nog. So that is the lore fiction story, the fairy story about Tir na Nog. Now, Tir na Nog was apparently ruled by someone called Queen Neve.
My cat's called Neve.
Queen Neve. That's where the word Neve comes from. It's from Queen Neve. She was queen of Tir. You'll be looking up Tir.
Call my queen. Queen Neve. Go on.
Well, afterwards, you'll be looking up what Tir na Nog is. So, interestingly, Queen Neve was the daughter of King Manannán, and King Manannán was king of the Isle of Man. So this is still in story time. So, I mean, I don't believe in these stories. I think they're all based on a lot of facts, which have just been translated into fairy stories. But if we take King Manannán, when the American Indians, the Native American Indians, were rediscovered, one of the tribes was called the tribe of Manannán. And guess what language they spoke?
Irish.
Gaelic. And they talked about their god, a tall white-skinned European with blonde hair and blue eyes, and he came over to us and he gave us all this advanced knowledge and he taught us how to speak Irish, and then he went away again and he was called King Manannán. So you've actually got physical proof on the ground, unless it's a complete accident that the tribe of Manannán from America somehow learnt to speak Gaelic and talked about a god from Europe, when there's actually a god from Europe called King Manannán. But King Manannán was father of Queen Neve, and Queen Neve was the queen of Tir na Nog. So is all of it true? Is some of it true and some of it not?
Well, you know what, Neil? When I wasn't questioning if you were right. It was basically because it wasn't me being difficult or questioning you. It was me just saying, how, and the reason why you've actually confirmed something to me here about the internet and AI being part of our consciousness, because they can't control that. So the information that you found when you were doing the Google Translate, as an example, it's there to be found because the information's everywhere. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I actually mentioned this. Because I've got a freaky mind. So when everyone started talking about your phones listening to you, and if you say cat food, then you're going to see a shitload of adverts about cat food and stuff. Well, this was a really interesting one because I was on site, it was about 2 years ago now, and I was trying to remember a record that had been out in the 80s. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember it. And it was Safety Dance, Men Without Hats. That's what it is now. So I was trying to remember this record all day. And then, when it just pops into your head.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, the second this popped into my head, I thought, don't say it. Don't write it down. Don't say it. Don't do anything.
I
It
know
popped
where
into my
you're
head.
going. Yeah.
It literally popped into my head. And I thought at the time, do not say it. Don't write it down. Don't do anything. Don't put it into the phone. Just forget about it. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say. 3 days later, you open YouTube. The first recommendation, men without hats, safety dance. And you go, I know I didn't say it.
Yeah.
You go, I know I did not say that because I deliberately did not say it. And unless you've got a 1,000,000 to 1 coincidence, that record just happens to pop up 3 days later. So, like I said, what is the internet? Is it reading my mind now?
Yeah,
is it,
because we're all tapped in. We're all tapped into this big cloud.
Yeah.
You know, we talk about the cloud. We're all, and I postulate. I watched this really good video of this philosopher. I can't remember. He's Irish, incidentally, and he was talking about Elon Musk's chip in the brain and how basically this chip in the brain will basically. We've heard the term hive mind.
Yeah.
It will create this one big consciousness. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. That's what we are anyway, is one big consciousness.
Yeah, but it's like if you imagine that consciousness being on like a dimmer switch on a light, it's right down at the bottom at the moment. It's barely flickering.
But this is this is me postulating, because when I started hearing all about this AI and this technology, I was really pushing back. And I thought it was really nefarious. And then as time's gone on, I've started to question, not everything is nefarious, right? And AI. And when I watched that from that video about this chip and the one consciousness, I was like, I wonder if all this AI is getting us closer to when we first began, when we were super intelligent. But because humanity, basically preparing us for this enlightenment of when Sirius comes, we're being prepared for that leap in consciousness, because where we are now, humanity won't be able to cope with that. So it needs an intermediary.
I think there's part of humanity wants us to advance and knows it's going to happen and wants to encourage it and allow it to happen. I'd also say another part of the controllers know it's going to happen and they're terrified of it and they're trying to keep us dumbed down. Again, back to the start. That's why they're using chemtrails to block out these elevated levels. I mean, I was talking to John. I used to do a lot of steel work. And what I always found fascinating was if I take a steel bar and I heat it up, which I was thinking about the sun and it changing colours. Well, if I heat a piece of steel up, firstly it turns orange, then it turns yellow, then it turns white.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it turns yellow, that's the sun, then it turns white. What happens after it turns white? It turns blue.
Yeah.
So you go as you heat things up, so it's gone yellow, white, then it'll turn blue. So I'm going, well, the sun's going to turn blue. So then we're taking, what happens after blue? It turns purple. So then that goes you straight back to Velikovsky's The Purple Dawn Theory. Whenever about the sky all being purple, if I just keep heating up the sun and heating it, it's going to turn yellow, then it's going to turn white, then it's going to turn blue, and then it's going to turn purple. So does that take?
Jason talks about the purple sky, the vapor canopy, doesn't he?
Yeah, but again, you hear these words and terms, but have you ever heard it's just because it gets hotter and hotter and hotter? And I've never heard him say it goes orange and then it goes yellow, then it goes white, then it goes blue, then it goes purple. I read about Velikovsky's Purple Dawn Theory 20 years ago, probably the same time as he was reading it in prison.
Yeah.
But that's within that's within the box.
Yeah.
What he says is always within the box and he's never outside and taking it up to the next level. That's what I say. I can take everything he says is always within the realms of what he's allowed to talk about, and it's always within the realms of Roman Christianity. And yet you tell him that the Bible and Christianity actually comes from Britain, and the Bible, if you want to understand the Bible, you have to look at Britain. I said that to him and he banned me off his channel. So
And again, this is the problem with a lot of researchers. They don't want to look outside of their own paradigm.
They get, like I just said, they get invested in
Yeah.
their income. In this is their job. Yeah. This is why I say I do not right now with 200 subscribers. I don't give a shit. I'm on a building site in Burnley tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Unless I can turn 200 subscribers into 100,000 subscribers, and like Joey just said, now he's got up to 100k. He's got to a point now where he can do it full time. He can start doing videos full time because he can get it to pay enough to make him do it full time. Now, I keep saying to Carly, if I could turn this into 100,000 subscribers and I could do it full time, I could do a video a day. No problem. But how do you turn 200 subscribers into 100,000 subscribers? Who's last? Just how you were talking about how numbers go up. There was 2 days last week when Joey was at 99,000, and within the space of 2 or 3 days, he went from 99,000 to 103,000. He gained 4,000 subscribers, and he didn't do anything. Carly's channel, hers went up by 400 subscribers in the same period of time. Mine went up by 4. 4.
Well,
no, thank you for those 4. But like I say,
channel, and I mean, I'm doing a lot of research on YouTube and how to grow on YouTube and algorithms, and it's all about the algorithm. And what you've got to find, right? This is what I've learned. A little bit of a lesson here. People, if you put an introduction in, if you don't grab them with a hook, people drop off. YouTube are interested in the watch time hours because the longer people are staying on. So if you keep getting watch time hours, so let's say somebody watches your video from beginning to end, YouTube will start recommending your channel. And that's how you grow. But if you've got people losing interest within 5 minutes, YouTube aren't going to recommend your channel because, of course, YouTube are a business. They're here to make money, so they want people on. And that's how you grow a channel. Joey's been very good at it because he's very good at the visualizers. He's a storyteller as well as giving out the information. I mean, he's fabulous at what he does. It really is. So, but, you know, it doesn't mean to say that you won't be successful because you're bringing, I think what's going to happen is people will gravitate from Jason's work. Event might not happen overnight to your work because you're the next level.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I would still, I would agree with that, and I would, because I've always said that I think Jason, it might be. This is the 5th year at secondary school, or year 10, whatever it is now. He's at the top of the secondary school, so he's bringing a lot of information that people haven't got there yet.
Yeah,
but he still hasn't taken that next step to until he understands that the Bible comes from Ireland and Christianity comes from Britain. He can't then expand his knowledge past what his understanding is. Because when he came out, I mean, I was studying his work quite closely for about the first 6 months he started producing. But then it struck me that his entire theory is based around Roman Christianity. The books that I'd read, Commons Beaumont, Conor McDarry, Michael Tsari, and I know for a fact he hasn't read those books. They're banned in American prisons, so he can't have read them. And when I've asked him, have you read these books? He's like, flu ride luck. What are you talking about? I've never heard of that. So one perfect example, he was talking about the Scythians, and he was talking about in the circus story, the Scythians come from the steppes of Russia. So that's all he was talking about, is these Scythians coming from the steppes of Russia. But if you actually read the book, We Are the Scythians, well, the Scythians are the Irish Tuatha De Danann. They come from Ireland and then they went to Scotland. So the Scythians come from Britain, not the steppes of Russia. They went to the steppes of Russia later. After they left Britain again, they then went and repopulated the planet. They went to the steppes of Russia, but they came from Britain and Ireland. So unless you're actually taking that next step, all you're doing is promoting what's within the circus story.
Yeah.
So this is what I say. All I'm trying to do is promote this extra story, but I can't get these videos down into bite-sized pieces, into 10-minute videos for people just to consume.
Yeah.
So I thought that my video on Satan would take half an hour.
Yeah.
And it took an hour and a half.
Well, what you could do, Neil, is you could do it in part 1 and part 2. This is what there's going to have to be 3 parts for this because people aren't going to sit through 3 hours.
I'm going to say we're on 3.5 hours now.
Exactly. I mean, I'm going to edit it. I mean, do you mind me keeping in what you say about Jason and stuff? Have you got any problem with that? Because I think it's conversation. Yeah.
No, like I said, the advantage that I have, I'm not a content producer. I'm a researcher. Yeah. I have nothing to lose. I don't have subscribers to upset. I don't have any a financial stream coming from YouTube.
Yeah.
I could literally upset every single person on YouTube, and it wouldn't affect me in any way, shape, or form. So I have nothing to lose. I have nothing invested in this. It's Carly that dragged me kicking and screaming out of my little corner of my field to come on to doing this, to start talking about it. I was quite happy in my corner of my field. I was watching Joe's videos, just adding a few comments here and there. Oh, have you thought about this? Did you know about that? That's all I've been doing. And then Carly just came along, dragged me out of my field and started me doing this. But then because I knew the work was interesting to me, it was always interesting to me. It was fascinating to me. I've been in stitches with some of the stuff, laughing my head off about some of the stuff that I found. But then is that going to translate to other people's interests? Are they going to be interested in it? And as I say, I didn't.
It's like I say, Neil. Again, it's only a theory, and but I truly believe that because this information is now getting out there, people will start to gravitate towards it because we're all pulling from that one big consciousness, and we're all that consciousness.
Yeah, but I say that this is why I keep going back to Akhenaten was the first whistleblower, 1800 BC. He fell on stony ground. Robert the Bruce, he tried it and he fell on stony ground 700 years ago. William Blake tried it.
It wasn't the time for it. It wasn't. Humanity wasn't ready for it.
All right, well, say even if you come into modern times, Conor McDowry, Collins Beaumont, Anna Wilkes, Ignatius Donnelly, Michael Cesarian. We've got plenty of researchers today who are putting this stuff out and have been putting this stuff out. There's a brilliant channel called Enlightened Turtle, and he's going into Cambridge and Troy and making all the connections and saying that Troy was actually Cambridge and these Trojan battles actually happened in Britain. He's got an amazing channel. And again, 200 views, 300 views, can't get the material out. So this is, again, it's one of the reasons why I want to make a hub or get Carly to make a hub that they can go to that one channel and go somewhere from that. Yeah. So if they were, so for example, if someone wanted to come and learn about the Egyptian mystery schools and the basis of their knowledge in Egypt, there's one called Flower of Light Mystery School. Highly recommend her work. It's brilliant. But no one would ever find her work unless they come to a hub because her channel is so small in it. You put a search in and you can't find it. Yeah, so this is what I want to put my work out, but I also want to get Carly to make a hub, so to get these researchers together. And we all do talks with each other. We can put our work out. We can put our recommendations out because a lot of the people that study the Circus Act don't know about these other channels. You'll never find these pieces of work.
And you know what, Neil? It's because, I mean, I believe the reason why the truth community does so well is because everybody wants to hear about the doom and the gloom. They don't want real knowledge. They want to know about the doom and the gloom. And that's why fear is such a popular selling point. And you'll find a lot of truthers, like Jason never started with doom, did he? But now he talks about doom because it sells. That and sex sells. And this is
Yeah.
why channels like, you know, like what you're talking about don't have any growth behind them, because they're just simply talking about.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, I didn't want to say the word because I didn't want to say the word because I'm of the belief that fact doesn't exist, because everybody's got their own different. It's just opinion.
All right. Well, the one word that consistently comes up, and the one word that consistently keeps me churning this stuff out and talking about it, is resonance. Everyone says it resonates with them so
Yeah.
deep at a spiritual level
Yeah.
that they know that this work is right.
And
Because,
boom, that's what I was saying to you earlier about the energy. Let me try and simplify it for me. The closer Sirius gets, the more enlightened people become. Your
yeah,
work will open up to those people, because we're all in, and again, I use the soul evolution here. We're all at different soul development. So whereas I'm ready to hear your work now, I wasn't ready to hear it a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever it may be. But I'm ready to hear it now, because I ummed and ahed about, having you on, because there were bits like you were saying when I listened to your videos and I was like, nah, I don't agree with that. Don't agree with that. And then there'll still be things that maybe, as when we start going, but I'm certainly not researched like you. But I go back to the soul evolution and the energetic resonance coming from, whether it be the different planets, whether it be from Sirius alone, whatever it may be. And we all follow these same patterns, but we're just at all different stages. That's
the only reason I'm here is to be a bull in a china shop, just to walk in, to smash everyone's ideas up and say, you're all wrong. You've all been studying X. You now need to learn this. I'm just here to tell everyone they're wrong, because I don't, like I say, right now, I don't have any skin in the game, so I have nothing to lose. So I don't care who coming out and saying you're all wrong, you're all wrong. As I say, I'm quite happy to. I see 666 now, and I just laugh. I imagine. When I said it earlier, I used to live at Blackpool. Well, if you imagine going into Blackpool Pleasure Beach, it's got 500 rides.
Yeah.
All these different rides, all these different entertainments, these things that are going to keep you interested. Well, I see any of these things, it's like, so I imagine that I'm in a pleasure beach and I've just seen a ride called 666. I've just seen a ride called Satan. That's all it is. It's just a fiction. It's just a ride.
Well, this whole reality is a fiction. This whole reality is a fiction. It's all one big illusion.
Absolutely. But like I say, we're just studying the rules of the ride.
Yeah.
That's it. Just the rules. So I say, I see 666 and laugh at the circus. And yet in my head, all I'm seeing is 616. When I see the word Phoenician, my mind literally changes the word to Phoenician, Fin, because then I can think back to Ireland and not think of Phoenicians out in the Mediterranean. It's more reprogramming the words, the trigger words, and understanding. Like, so I say swastika, Aryan. I come across these words and instantly it's Aryan, E-I-R-A. Of course it's Aryan, it's air. How can the people from air, not be called the Aryans? And if you just change this spelling and then you find out about the R1B, of course it's all comes from Ireland. It's just so clear. Someone would have to come up with a hell of an.
I think my huge question, which I'm not going to open this can of words, I'm just going to put it out there. My big question is, why are we fucking here? That's my big question. Why are we here as these dense beings? When I was talking to my magic mentor yesterday, and we were talking about the Kabbalah and the clip off, and again, I had the same question. Why have we been created? Well, one could say we chose to come here to have these experiences, but why? Well, that's my bit, because
to learn, you come to school, but you're not here for 60 years. You're here for 4 hours.
Yeah,
you're just plugged in for 4 hours. You're going on when you come out of this simulation, you'll be sitting up, taking a pair of headsets off and going, right, is it dinner time? 4 hours.
And what are they trying to bring into this realm now? The headsets. They're emulating reality into this realm.
You'll be working. It'll be a fictionalized reality within a fictionalized reality within a fictionalized reality.
Honestly, Neil, watch The 13th Floor. It's exactly about that.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah, it's a really good film. It's a low budget film. I think it's an 80s film. It's a really good film, and it is about that, a reality within reality within reality. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
And that's why I love watching Westworld.
That's brilliant.
I've seen the entire series 3 times now.
Yeah.
Because you watch it and you're never 100% sure of which reality that you're actually in.
Yeah.
Or is it a reality within a reality? And again, when they start doing moving the minds around, because they have different minds for different bodies, and you're going, which soul is inside that body? Because that's not the same soul that was there an hour ago. And they're moving souls around and moving bodies around and changing what reality is. It's such a mind twist.
It is a mind twist. And when we talk about AI and what they want to do with AI and put consciousness into, again, I don't look at it nefariously anymore. I think they're emulating reality in this realm. I think they're trying to get people to wake up to who we really are. That's what I truly believe now.
I think some are, some aren't.
Again, yeah, you've got the duality. Yeah, I'm on board with that. I mean, when I went down the Gnostic route, I was like, the transhumanism, it's all about trapping souls into this realm. But I've kind of moved away from the soul trap now. I was on board with the soul trap, but I've moved away from that now. And like you say, it's lessons, it's a choice. We are here, we're controlling this from wherever we're. And like I said, it was that video that I watched on the chip in the brain, and this guy saying we'll all be one consciousness, and I was like, well, we are all one consciousness.
We already are.
Yeah, so I was like, for me, that was they're trying to wake the masses up to who they really are.
I don't think you ever would. Have we not just had the world's biggest experiment, and they were allowed to terminate millions of people and no one even blinked an eyelid?
But one could say that it was a cleansing. It was a cleansing of the earth. And again, this is where I see Satan as an adversary for people to, you either stay sat on the couch watching the BBC, or you go, so one could say a catalyst. So 2020 was a catalyst for people to either stay where they were or to go, hang on a minute, something's not right here. Because I asked the question about myself, if 2020 hadn't have happened, would I still be doing what I was doing 4 years ago? Maybe, maybe not. I can't answer that question. But it catapulted me. It got me off my arse and it catapulted me. I wouldn't be having a conversation with you.
I do consistently hear when did you wake up? 2001, 9/11. When 9/11 happened, that's a big time when a lot of people woke up.
Yeah.
Again, I've talked to people in the last few years, and they said I only really started waking up in 2020 when I realised that it was all a lie. Then I actually could admit that it was all a lie, so then I could open myself up to lots of other things being a lie, and then I found out everything's a fucking lie.
Yeah.
So a lot of people woke up in 2020, but again, as I keep saying, it's like going to school. Anyone that woke up in 2020 is in first year at secondary school, or sixth year, whatever it's called now. They're in the first year of secondary school. There's still a lot of traps there. There's still a lot of diversions. There's still a lot of lies.
Yeah.
But unless you do the secondary school schooling, you can't go to this level. You can't go to the university level, because I'd lose someone in 5 minutes. It's just too deep and too far beyond. Because you need the foundation of knowing what's truth and what's a lie to be able to then take it on to the next level and going, well, now I can recognize that's why it's a truth. So unless someone knows who the Phoenicians are, the sea people from the Mediterranean, they can't recognize that that's then a lie. There's no point in going straight to the Irish Phoenicians unless you understand.
You know, it takes me to, if everybody woke up at the same time, it would tip the balance. It would tip the balance of equilibrium. It couldn't cope with it. So it has to be incremental.
I think everyone's growth has to be incremental. That's part of growing.
Exactly. And also, if we are looking externally, like the Sirian energies, the planetary energies, we're all influenced by those energies. So again, that one could say that is where the fate comes from. So if we talk about fate versus free will, we as individuals have free will. We chose in 2020, but 2020 happened because it was in the planetary energies that was going to happen at that time, and that was fated. So there's all these energetic influences around us, and then we've got our own energetic influence.
No, well, say the answer to that one is simple, because everything is energy. No matter how far down you break it, however far down you go to smaller and smaller and smaller, it always breaks down to energy. Everything is energy. And therefore, if everything is energy, everything is connected. Literally everything.
Yeah.
So but then again, you can take that to another level, another step, because if this is a holographic creation, that's all energy.
Yeah.
So this is why I keep going back to, I think that this is a holographic creation. I don't think I'm even really here. Everything around me is energy. And just to almost, we'll wrap this up in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But let's think of, I'm trying to think of a 3D video game. World of Warcraft. Right, so you put your World of Warcraft goggles on and you're running around your world, you're shooting things and whatever. Right, well, while you've got your goggles on and you're playing World of Warcraft and you're in this world, is the world flat or round?
It's neither, because
anything outside the peripheral vision doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So what makes you think that anything outside your peripheral vision right now exists?
Well, did you not ask the question when you were a kid, Neil? When I close my eyes, I wonder if everything's still there. I did.
Do bear shit in the woods? Do trees fall in the woods? If something happens, did it happen because you didn't see it, or was it just part of the script to be there for you to find? Was it always like that? In which case, take your history books and throw your history books away, because everything is only happening in the now, right this very second. There wasn't 1,000 years ago. There wasn't 5,000 years in future. It only happens now.
How do we even know that any of this history even happened?
We don't, because if this is a holographic projection, there's no such thing as history.
Exactly.
The history is the backstory of the game. So what we're doing here is studying the rules of the game. That's all.
Yeah.
You can't know.
So the history is a holographic projection. This is
my
kind of subject. I love this kind of stuff.
It can't be a projection, because the projection only happens now.
Yeah.
So for example, you're told the Great Pyramid was built, let's say, 6,000 years ago. That's what you're told. Well, it was only created in this fictional holographic creation when you were born, when you came into it. That's when it existed. That's the backstory of this creation, of this holographic creation. Things like history, the Great Pyramids, are just the backstory. You're just studying a backstory, that's all. Yeah. History never happened, because time doesn't exist. And the only time that exists is right this second that you're living in right now. but you're not
And
even living in it. It's just only just being projected into you.
And that goes back to what I said earlier, Neil, how if history has been injected as a backstory, how do we know there's only one history that's been injected? How do we know that there's not multiple histories? And that's why people have
There is
so many
multiple histories.
versions.
Well, there is multiple histories. We know there's multiple histories. If you look at flamenco's work, is it Vladimir? Is it? Trying to remember his first name. I know it's flamenco. I mean, he was studying history. Was it him? 20 researchers studied history for 10 years, and what they found was these plagiarizations, these copies, these copy and paste of all these deities, these countries, these towns, these cities that had all been moved around the planet, and they just kept it being copied. Well, this is what he found, and this is where he went into 1,000 years of history have been added to the timeline. But what he didn't know, what flamenco didn't know, was about this Irish cipher, that the Vatican had changed the timeline. So what he stumbled across all these timelines that had been changed and swapped around, but without having the answer that the Vatican did it, Rome did it, to hide British Christianity, which he didn't know anything about. He came to the wrong conclusions. His work was right, that these characters and countries had all been plagiarized and copied, but he didn't know that it was done by Rome to hide British history. That's all it was done. That's why it was done. So on that note, I'm going to do one.
Yeah, me too, because my eyes are really hurting. The cats want feeding. And it's been great, Neil. Thanks. I love these conversations. I like getting into all the questions that, I know you're about fact and history and stuff, but I love all the existential stuff that we can't prove, that we can never prove, and just postulate on. But if you're happy to come on when you've done your Saturn on Saturday thing, we'll talk about Saturn next. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about Saturn once I've actually done this video.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be I've got another guest coming on Wednesday. I think I can't remember. But anyway, it's been great, Neil. Thanks for your time. Your 3.5 hours going on 4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Have a chat to Steve Beatty. Have a chat to Steve Beatty. He'll do 4 hours, no problem.
Hey, listen, Steve Beatty blocked me because he said something. This was on Facebook, my old Facebook account, which I lost. He said something, and I'd read something out of my Alchemy and Mysticism book. So I was just like saying, blah blah. Anyway, I wasn't agreeing with what he was saying, and he blocked me.
Oh.
So
yeah. Well,
you probably won't remember who I am because I've got a different name than I had on my last one. But anyway, is what it is.
Yeah, the point being is just this whole theory is that vast. You get one of us talking about this, and you just can't shut us up. You might as well just say, right, we want to talk for 2 hours. Stop talking at 2 hours, because we'd still be here in 6 or 8 hours' time. No problem. I have not even started scratching surface yet. So this is the vastness of it, and this is what frightens people off because it is so vast. I keep saying it's like 9/11, JFK, moon landings, all rolled into one, and then some.
Yeah. Maybe next time we can talk about the reptilians and if dinosaurs actually existed, because when we touched on the Ice Age, I wanted to ask you about the dinosaurs.
1841. That's what was his name? Was it Rice? 1841 is when the word dinosaur was invented. It didn't exist. The word dinosaur didn't exist before then. And then I'm going to go back into, I said right at the start when it was tannin and tanims, and that was a mistranslation between the jackal and the serpent and the dragon.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you need this serpent, dragon, dinosaur. They all come into this tannin word.
We'll talk about that next time.
Yeah,
because the reptilians fascinates me. I don't think it's all bad. I don't think it's, I just don't think it's all nefarious. I'm done thinking everything's nefarious.
No, there has to be some good in it.
Yeah. So anyway, you what? Sorry.
It might take a bit of finding, but there is good out there.
Yeah.
It's the fundamentals of human nature to be nice. So you actually have to invert human nature in itself, not to be nice. Humans, by nature, are nice people.
Yeah.
So you've really got to work and invert that to turn someone naturally nice into naturally not nice. But as I say, I think there's a lot of greed and materialism and stuff like that with the bad people, but I think there's still a vast number of good people. But I
you know what, Neil? The way I look at the times right now, it is as it's meant to be. It is as it's meant to be. And now you've introduced me to the whole idea of Sirius and the energy of Sirius. It is as it's meant to be. Whether we look at like the greed and the materialism, we've all been part of that. We've all taken part of that. We've all been responsible for accepting that. Going, I'm happy to have the car, and it's now a time, I think, that people need to start saying, yes, I'm responsible for the way the world is. We're all equally responsible. But again, that's the energy that is bigger than us. It's just as it is should be.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's all a natural cycle, and it will all come out in the end. It has to do.
Yeah.
No matter how hard they try to keep us dumbed down, to keep the boot on our throats, it can only last for a certain length of time. And the longer they keep us down, the more of the backlash there's going to be when eventually it all does come out.
And again, I think Neil, the backlash, the boot on the head is the catalyst for people to go, I've had enough, no more. I'm not putting up with it anymore. And again, it's because people will not move out of their sofa unless they are forced, unless they are pushed.
That's my intention, to force them.
Right. Exactly.
Blackmore, Ed, you're all wrong. Wake up again. You think that you think you call yourself awake. You're not. You're still asleep because you're still only studying the circus act. So until you come out of the circus act, you're still asleep. You're still studying their construct for you, and you need to come out of their construct to understand what the real construct is.
But regardless whether it's their construct or it is just part of, because when we're going back to like is it their construct or is it?
Well, the storyline behind their construct is their story. That's what I mean. It's their story that they're studying. Most researchers are studying their story.
But it's the Akashic records, isn't it? It's in. Well, it's getting. Maybe we'll pick up on the next one, but I just see things now as the way things are is the way it's meant to be, and the boot on the head is a fucking wake up, or you're all going to be doomed. Humanity will end. That's the way I see it, and I truly believe that they are catalysts. This control system is a catalyst. That's where I'm at now.
Yeah, I'm still going with this system is at the fundamentals. This system is a training school for your soul.
And there you need your catalyst.
In simplistic terms, that's the best way I can understand it. It's just a training school.
And you need your catalyst, because if you didn't have your catalyst, you'd just sit on your ass and sit on the sofa and watch Coronation Street every single night, which the majority of people are still doing, granted.
Most people still do.
No, exactly. But again, we're all at different levels of this simulation. It's just like playing a computer game and everybody's at different levels of the computer game. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
But I'll let you get going, Neil. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll speak to you when I speak to you next.
Yeah. Cheers, Joe.
Nice one. Speak to you soon. See you later.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.